Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Sarah's been my friend for what seems like forever. We met in high school, and while we weren't joined at the hip, she was always someone I could count on. She was warm, funny, and had this charm about her that made people gravitate toward her. Over the years, we stayed in touch through the ups and downs of life. College, jobs, marriages. She married Tom, I married Ethan, and though our lives were busy, we made time for each other when we could. That's why when Sarah showed up at my doorstep one night, crying and holding 2 overstuffed bags, I didn't hesitate. "Tom kicked me out," she said, barely able to get the words out between sobs. "He found out I'm pregnant and doesn't want me or the baby." I was shocked. How could Tom, someone I'd always thought of as solid and reliable, do something so cruel? Sarah explained that he'd been cheating on her for months and accused her of trapping him with the pregnancy. He told her to leave, and she had nowhere else to go. "Of course you can stay," I told her, pulling her into a hug. Ethan came into the hallway concerned. When I explained what had happened, he immediately agreed. "We'll figure it out," he said. I felt so grateful in that moment. Grateful to have a supportive husband and grateful to be in a position to help my friend. Sarah moved into our guest room, and I threw myself into making her feel at home. Her pregnancy wasn't easy. She was constantly sick, exhausted, and overwhelmed by everything she was going through. I stepped up to help her as much as I could. I cooked her meals, cleaned up after her, and drove her to every doctor's appointment. I even helped her set up a little nursery in the guest room, complete with a crib and baby clothes. Ethan was a huge help too. He was always kind and attentive, bringing Sarah tea when she felt sick, and even helping me assemble furniture for the nursery. At the time, I thought his involvement was sweet. I felt like we were a team, helping someone in need. It felt good to do something meaningful for someone I cared about, and I was proud I had such a supportive husband. When Sarah gave birth to her daughter, Lily, it was an emotional experience for all of us. Sarah's labor had been difficult, leaving her physically and emotionally drained. I stepped up even more after Lily was born, helping with feedings, changing diapers, and rocking Lily to sleep when Sarah needed rest. Ethan, once again, surprised me with how involved he was. He doted on Lily, buying her clothes and toys and spending hours holding her. I thought it was heartwarming. He'd always been good with kids, and I was proud of how much he cared about Sarah and her baby. But as the weeks turned into months, something started to feel strange. Ethan's attachment to Lily grew stronger, and it began to nag at me. He seemed more interested in her than he'd ever been with our nieces or nephews. He would rush to pick her up when she cried, spend hours in the nursery, and even start calling her nicknames like Princess and Sweetheart. I told myself I was overthinking it. Ethan was just being kind, wasn't he? But the little things started piling up. The way Sarah and Ethan seemed to have unspoken conversations with their eyes. The way Ethan always seemed to anticipate her needs. I kept brushing it off, but deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. When Lily turned 1, I got an email from Tom. My stomach dropped as I read it. He said he'd heard rumors that Ethan was Lily's biological father. He didn't have proof, but thought I deserved to know. He suggested I confront them directly. My heart was pounding. I felt sick. All those little things I'd been ignoring came crashing back with brutal clarity. Could it be true? I didn't want to believe it, but the pieces were starting to fit together. That night, I confronted Ethan and Sarah. I didn't sugarcoat it. I showed them the email and demanded the truth. At first, they denied it, but as I pressed harder, their facade crumbled. "Yes," Sarah finally admitted, tears streaming down her face. "Ethan is Lily's father." I can't even describe the feeling. It was like the air had been sucked out of the room. They told me they'd been having an affair for over 2 years, well before Sarah moved into our home. Ethan claimed it was over before Lily was born, but that didn't make it any easier to hear. What hurt even more than the affair was their reaction. They didn't apologize, not really. Instead, they tried to justify it. Sarah said, "We've already built a good life here. Why not just keep things the way they are?" Ethan added, "That is what's best for Lily. She needs stability. I couldn't believe their audacity. They wanted me to keep living with them, pretending everything was fine, while they played house with the child they'd conceived behind my back. It was as if my pain didn't matter, as if I was just an obstacle in their twisted version of happiness. I told them both to leave. Sarah started crying, accusing me of being cruel. "You're kicking out a fragile mother and her baby after everything I've been through?" she wailed. Ethan tried to calm me down, saying we should think of Lily, but I wasn't interested. The house was mine, and I wanted them gone. I gave them 2 days to pack their things. Sarah and Ethan moved in with Sarah's parents. Since then, Sarah's been telling anyone who will listen that I'm heartless. She's painted herself as the victim, saying I abandoned her and Lily when they needed me most. Some friends have reached out, asking if I could have been more understanding. Lily's just a baby, they say. She didn't choose this. And they're right. Lily is innocent. But how could I keep living with the people who betrayed me so deeply? I welcomed Sarah into my home, supported her through her pregnancy, and helped care for her child, all while she and Ethan were lying to my face. I know Lily didn't ask for any of this. She's just a child caught in the crossfire of her parents' terrible choices. But I couldn't sacrifice my sanity and dignity for her. Does that make me cruel? Should I have tried to make it work for her sake? Or was I right to put myself first and demand they leave? Reddit. Am I the a-hole for kicking them out? Let's be real. Sarah and Ethan knew exactly what they were doing. They took advantage of OP's kindness, their home, and her trust, all while hiding the most devastating secret from OP. And then they had the audacity to suggest OP should just keep living together? That's beyond selfish. OP was right to kick them out. What they did was cruel, and they showed no real remorse. Lily may be innocent, but her parents made their choices, and now they have to deal with the consequences. OP is not the a-hole for putting herself first and refusing to let them continue to hurt her. And now let's hear the community's opinion. I can't believe what you've been through. You didn't just open your home to Sarah. You practically saved her when she had nowhere else to go. And this is how she repaid you? By hiding the ultimate betrayal? You are not the a-hole. The fact that they tried to justify their actions instead of apologizing tells you everything you need to know about their character. Don't let anyone guilt you into thinking you're wrong for standing up for yourself. Wow. Just wow. Sarah and Ethan didn't just betray you. They manipulated and used you. You cared for Sarah during her hardest time, and they both let you do it while hiding this massive lie. I don't blame you for kicking them out. You owe them nothing, especially after their audacity to suggest you keep things as they are. Lily may be innocent, but her parents made their bed. Stand your ground. You've already done more than enough. You were more than generous to Sarah, even after Tom abandoned her. She had no right to use your kindness as a shield for her lies. Ethan's betrayal cuts even deeper. He was supposed to be your partner, and he let you care for this child without ever telling you the truth? Kicking them out wasn't cruel. It was necessary. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
My 35 female, last remaining grandmother passed away last month. That side of the family is Jewish, and it's customary to give inheritance to the grandkids in Jewish families. My sister, 27 female, is a single mom of 3, one with special needs. All have different dads, none are in the picture. One is in jail, another one was a one-night stand in Vegas, doesn't even remember his first name, and the other is just an unemployed deadbeat. She's drowning in debt, mostly medical bills for special needs child, and got fired from multiple jobs due to having to always call out due to her special needs child having some medical emergency. She's months behind on rent, but landlord hasn't evicted her because he feels sorry for her. My husband, 42 male, and I are child-free by choice. While we aren't Vanderbilts by any stretch, we do have a comfortable lifestyle. We were going to use my portion of the inheritance for a down payment on a house. We live in an apartment, albeit a nice one, and to treat ourselves to a nice vacation in Europe. I've never been there, but dear husband has, and I've always wanted to go. My sister's portion of the inheritance will cover some of her debt. She wants to pay off creditors first because they're threatening to take her to court while the landlord is showing more leniency. But my family is saying I should give her my share of the inheritance because that would cover almost all her debt. She wasn't spending frivolously. It was mostly the mounting medical bills for my special needs nephew. And it's more important than a house because we're fine in our apartment, and this is more urgent. I'm no prude or S-shamer, but bottom line is, my sister was reckless in having unprotected S with multiple men and getting pregnant by 3 separate ones who, for various reasons, can't or don't help, and that's not my fault. I don't feel my husband and I should have to sacrifice our dream of being homeowners, which is incredibly hard to do these days, and having to sacrifice this vacation I've always wanted to go on. I was responsible and think I made good choices, and don't think I should have to suffer consequences for her poor decisions. Am I the a-hole? Edit. When I told my family I'm not responsible for her reckless life choices, they agreed that she didn't make good decisions, but the children are innocent. I agree, but that's still not my fault, nor my problem. Edit. I also reminded them she could get pregnant again anytime, because she's still young, and she doesn't believe in termination. Even if I did give, it will never be enough. Edit. For those accusing me of S-shaming, I could care less what consenting adults do behind closed doors. My issue is her carelessness with birth control. She doesn't like hormonal birth control due to them making her gain weight. She gained a lot more with pregnancy, but okay. I've brought up voluntary sterilization, which I got done, which Planned Parenthood will do for free, but she won't because she's afraid she'll regret it later, and she loves babies, and as I said earlier, she doesn't believe in termination. I don't care under what circumstances consenting adults have S, but it's not okay to come to me with your handout when you can't afford the consequences of your choices. As one poster said, I'm not S-shaming, I'm stupidity-shaming, and won't deny it. And I've helped her out before, but it never seems to stop. At what point does it end? When do I get to fulfill my dreams? Or do I forever have to flush my dreams down the toilet to keep bailing my sister out of trouble? Not the a-hole. If you want to be both petty and generous, tell your family you'll match whatever money they give her. They probably won't give any, or at least not much, because it's a lot easier to be generous on someone else's dime. Not the a-hole. You aren't responsible for your sister's repeated bad life choices. More importantly, if your grandmother wanted her to have it, she would have put it in her will. Not the a-hole. The money was your grandmother's last gift to you. Your grandmother could have stipulated that more of the money go to your sister, but didn't. Feel no guilt. You're never obligated to dig someone else out of their own crap, even family. I, 26 female, am my mom's, 54 female, child and only daughter to my dad, who she met after breaking up with my Uncle Bob, 53 male, who had cheated on her with my Aunt Jane, 51 female, and was pressured into marriage by their parents, finding out Jane was pregnant with my cousin, Amelia, 32 female. I'm not sure about all the details, but from what I've gathered, Bob started sleeping with Amelia because she was willing, while my mom wanted to wait until marriage. My grandparents were very religious and traditionalists. My mom was devastated and cut Bob and Amelia out of her life for years and went low contact with my grandparents after they retried pushing for reconciliation after Amelia was born. Eventually, my mom met my dad and got engaged, and I guess by that point, she was truly over Bob because she invited him, Jane, Amelia, and their son, Bob Jr., 28 male, to the wedding. Jane was bummed out that she couldn't be a bridesmaid, or that my mom made my godsister her flower girl instead of Amelia, and there was an argument. Before the wedding, there was a sit-down between my parents, Bob, Jane, and my maternal grandparents, where my mom said that she was willing to have some type of relationship with all of them, but only under the condition that they all agreed to never speak about the past again. From that day on, me and my cousin all grew up together and never knew the truth, and I thought we were all one big happy family. So I was surprised my mom wasn't as sympathetic as I thought she would be when it turned out that Bob had been cheating on my aunt multiple times with different women. They later divorced after Bob had gotten one of the flings pregnant. Bob moved away and barely saw my cousins, but he always sent me cards, presents, and messages. I also didn't find out until later, but he actually paid for my college in secret, so I didn't have any debt, while Amelia and Bob got only partial help from him. Recently, my Uncle Bob passed away, and his lawyer requested that I attend the will reading, and I went to more so support my cousins. I was floored when I realized that I got almost everything. That's when the secret came out, and it was revealed that Bob never got over my mom, was still in love with her, and always saw me as the daughter that should have been his. It took me getting a DNA test to prove that I was my father's daughter to convince everyone that my mom never slept with Bob. And during that time, my cousins and Bob's other children said some really nasty things to me. After some time had cooled off, I looked at the total value of my share of around $400,000 after fees and agreed to just give 50% to my cousins. They weren't happy and felt that as Bob's legal children, they should get everything. Wouldn't hear about accepting any less and called me a greedy witch with a B. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Voluntarily sharing $200K with your cousins is very generous. Technically speaking, you would still not be the a-hole, even if you followed Bob's original intent. Bob, on the other hand, wow, major a-hole on many fronts. Sounds like you dodged a bullet by not actually being the daughter that should have been his. Not the a-hole. You know that whatever you do, your relationship with your cousins is over. You can keep the money, give it all to them, donate it, flush it down the toilet, and the result will be the same. With that in mind, do what you want to do with the money, and not what you think would make your cousins happy, because nothing will make them happy. I also find it extremely creepy that your uncle projected his feelings for your mother onto you, and not only tried to keep in touch with you after he cheated on his wife and didn't even bother with his kids, but also named you the beneficiary of his will. What the actual duck? Personally, I think 50% is 50% too much. Their anger is directed at the wrong person. It is weird that your uncle left as much as he did to you and not his children. Yes, but that was none of your doing. Not the a-hole, but your cousins are. I, 16 male, have a younger brother, 13 male, and we share a mom but have different dads. My parents were married and mom cheated or had an affair, and my brother was the result. My dad didn't want to raise my brother or stay married to my mom, which I get. But when my brother's bio father left the country to flee all child support stuff, my mom and her family decided my dad was a piece of trash for not loving my brother for being my brother. Mom over the years has filled my brother with the idea my dad should be his dad too, since we're related, and she's always tried to encourage me to include him in my time with my dad, and has encouraged him to tell me how he feels left out. It's always been awkward. My dad and I talk about it. He has spoken to Mom. He has taken her to court over the issue, and he has asked me if I want him to adopt my brother as his own. I always said he didn't have to. I just hate the pressure. My brother and I don't have a great relationship because of everything. I've included him a couple of times if my dad was offering to take me and friends someplace, but my brother tries to bond with my dad and then gets upset when my dad doesn't treat him the same as me. Last time he got mad because dad treated him the same as my friends and corrected him when he said they were family. So my dad took me and some friends to a cool arcade in another city. I didn't invite my brother this time. I didn't even mention it. But I guess Dad had to because he was taking me so far, and my mom was pissed when I got to her house. My brother was upset and told me he's being left behind, left out. I told him it's not that, but he needs to understand that he makes things awkward when he chases after my dad. He told me Dad should be there for him too, and he's just a kid without a dad, and how can I not be mad at my dad for excluding him? My mom and her family told me I should be ashamed of myself for excluding my brother. I argued back that it always ends badly when he's there, and I'm done letting him think he can use that time to get close to Dad, because clearly Dad doesn't want to raise him. I was called a crappy brother. Am I the a-hole? OP's mom has destroyed her marriage. Now she is working on destroying the sibling bond between her sons. If she's not careful, she will destroy her younger son by encouraging him to believe her first husband owes him a father-son relationship. No doubt she will be shocked and heartbroken when OP moves out as soon as he can. She doesn't see she is chasing him away by putting him in the middle of a situation he's in no way responsible for. Not the a-hole. You should be ashamed. Your mom should be ashamed. There's a whole lot of blame being directed at you here that should be laid at your mother's feet. Duck that noise. Not the a-hole. Your mother created an affair baby, and your father's not wrong for refusing to be his father. Your mother is responsible for the mess. She has been emotionally aggressive to your brother and you for years by trying to force a bio-type relationship between your brother and your father. If your brother has uncles on his father's side, she should try to form relationships with them. Your brother is innocent, but your father does not owe him a relationship. Your mother's actions show that it is in her nature to only care about herself. Your father sounds like a great dad. I, male 29. Have a girlfriend, Lily, female 26. Lily and I have been dating for around 8 months. I have a daughter, Alice, female 7, whose mother is my ex-fiancée, Rachel, female 29. Our relationship ended for multiple complicated reasons, which I won't get into here. It mainly boiled down to us simply not being romantically compatible. Rachel and I are on good terms. We had a few petty disagreements in the beginning, but we've been able to co-parent pretty well. Lily never had an issue with me being a single dad, and she interacts really well with Alice. However, recently, I think Lily really overstepped and acted inappropriately. Last week, Alice's school had a fair. There was games, prizes, food, and music. Alice is in her school's dance club, which was doing a performance towards the end of the fair. I talked to Rachel about the event, and we agreed that I would take Alice to the fair and Rachel would meet up with us at the event, then take Alice back to her home. Lily insisted on accompanying me and Alice to the fair, and I didn't see a reason as to why she couldn't come along. However, Rachel didn't meet us when she agreed to. I tried to call her a few times, but she wasn't answering. Lily seemed a lot more annoyed about it than I was, and went on about how Rachel shouldn't be late and that she needs to prioritize her time better. I told Lily she's probably just stuck in traffic or something, and that it's no big deal. Rachel ended up being 2 hours late and didn't arrive until after the dance performance. She said that her boss made her stay behind past the time she was supposed to finish, and was really apologetic. Rachel is not normally late. I will admit that Alice was pretty disappointed, but these things happen. Lily was fuming angry and confronted Rachel in front of Alice. She accused Rachel of not caring about her child and being hopelessly disorganized. Lily told Rachel that her own mother was like her and that she hates her for it. I tried to calm Lily down and prevent an argument, but Rachel started yelling at Lily and said that she has no right to criticize her and that she's not Alice's parent. They got into a screaming match and caused a huge scene. Alice started crying, and Rachel eventually took Alice to her car and left. I took Lily home, but I was really angry with her. I talked to Lily the next day when she was more calm and told her that she majorly overstepped her bounds and that she owes Rachel an apology. Lily seemed surprised that I'd say that and said that Rachel was blatantly in the wrong and that she should have been more organized and prioritized her child. I told Lily that doesn't matter and that she behaved inappropriately. Lily was really mad that I didn't take her side and has been very cold towards me. Even if your ex was hopelessly disorganized and a train wreck, it's not even remotely your girlfriend's place to point it out in front of her child. Frankly, if I were you, I'd be livid. It doesn't matter, your girlfriend can talk to you in private, but you do not badmouth your co-parent in front of the child. This is hard enough on your daughter. She just made it harder and drove a wedge into your situation. I'd be telling her she needs to apologize or she can move on. Not the a-hole. Not even close, dude. Not the a-hole. So much not the a-hole. I don't care if she had a valid point. I don't care if she was upset on Alice's behalf, etc. What matters is she initiated a fight with Alice's mother in front of her. That is parenting 101. You do not speak poorly of a parent to or in front of the child. Not the a-hole. Your girlfriend completely overstepped on this. I'm sure the mom would have liked to be there, so she could have tried to be understanding. It's completely inappropriate to accuse her of not caring about her child if that was an exceptional event. Seems like your girlfriend has some underlying issues about your past relationship. My fiancé gave me 2 engagement rings. The one he proposed with is smaller and simpler, but more my style. The second ring is a family heirloom, and while it's lovely, it's not the type of ring I would be comfortable wearing every single day. When he gave me the second ring, he told me he wanted me to wear it on special occasions and at certain events because it was more fitting. I've only worn the second ring once, and I almost lost it, so I haven't worn it since. It was his cousin's wedding on the weekend, and he asked me to wear the second ring. I originally was going to wear it, but I felt so paranoid, so I switched back to my usual ring before we left. I didn't expect anybody to notice or care, but his extended family kept bringing it up, and multiple people asked my fiancé why he hadn't proposed with the heirloom ring. I know his uncle pulled him aside and asked him if he was even serious about me, since he didn't give me the right ring. We've been fighting over it since the wedding, as he's upset I didn't wear the ring after I said I would, and because I knew how important that ring is to his family. He thinks I should have known his family would ask questions, and he admitted he thinks he should have just proposed with the heirloom ring instead. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. It was one event and you agreed. You said you would wear the ring, then took it off right before leaving. You knew before doing that how important it was. You chose to create this situation. You're the a-hole. You both agreed you would wear it on special occasions. Wear the damn ring on those occasions. Jeez, some women get nothing. She gets 2 rings, and it's a ducking problem. Yep, you're the a-hole. You said you would, and you didn't. And of course his family is going to ask about an heirloom ring. Like, why didn't someone else inherit it if OP doesn't appreciate it enough to wear it? Come on.